Hey guys, welcome back to Lap 1 News, and wow, what a weekend we've just had. That was an incredible Brazilian Grand Prix weekend. I mean, first of all, let's just start off with the main sticking point from that weekend. How quick was the Mercedes? I mean, yes. I think the reason it was so quick, for me personally, is because of the new engine. They fitted the new ICE. They knew it was going to be quick. They knew that that was what you needed at Brazil. You needed that good engine to be able to overtake and just be. Hamilton was 5/10 quicker in qualifying. Yes, some of that will be down to his DRS that failed the system, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But that's not all going to be that. The engine will be quicker. He's just an incredible driver, and you've got to accept that, regardless of what happens now, this weekend is probably one of his best weekends he's ever had in the sport. That's saying something because he's had a very strong career. You don't have 7 World Championships without it. So, yeah. Let's get on to that then. The incident in qualifying, or rather the disqualification Hamilton got from qualifying. So obviously, I think with that it was that his rear wing it failed scrutineering because it was something like 0.2 millimeters bigger than it should have been. And that's not going to make that much of a difference. The disqualification was fair, because if you fail scrutineering, then you fail scrutineering. That's cut and dry. The car needs to be legal, and the car wasn't. But as the FIA established, something broke on the rear wing, and it wasn't Mercedes's fault, or rather they weren't doing it on purpose. It's just unfortunate that it happened that way. But it is kind of a good thing, really, for us that did happen, because we got such a strong, such a great weekend as a result of that. Can you imagine what the sprint race would have been like if Hamilton had started on pole? We wouldn't have got that incredible race where Hamilton's coming off the way from the back of the grid right up to the front. And that just made it, 5th position in 24 laps. Just incredible. The car plays a part, but, the driver also makes a big difference. You see Bottas, he struggles to overtake people when he's stuck behind them. Lewis just made it look like he was carving a hot knife through butter in that sprint race, and it was just, you couldn't help but be awestruck by it. And then, obviously, with the new ICE, he got a 5-place grid penalty, which saw him drop to 10th for the race start, and that was the start of a really great race. Verstappen, off the line, got Bottas in a really nice move around the outside, I think it was, of Bottas around that corner. That was a really good move, and he looked in a really strong position for most of that race. It was only until Hamilton had caught up to him that, it looked like Verstappen was not going to win this race. He was comfortably in the lead up until that point. Let's talk about that incident. You know which incident I'm talking about. Hamilton round the outside of Verstappen into turn 3, turn 4. And Verstappen misses the apex, runs wide off the track, and Hamilton's forced off even further. I would like to see the onboard of Max Verstappen, just because it would be interesting to know what actually happened there. It's a bit... I personally don't think you make that corner... I personally don't think that he goes that wide intending to make the corner. I think he didn't lock up. It didn't look like he lost control, like he had a snap of oversteer. It didn't look like that. Genuinely looked from the outside as if he was just opened up the steering to force Hamilton off track. And I think this is the problem with Max. You know, he's going back to where he was when he first started. He's just, if you try and overtake him, you will crash. And we've seen that a bit this season as well. We've had Imola, you know, the same happened it was the other way around in Silverstone. And I find it really interesting that the stewards didn't even think that they needed to investigate that, because it's one of those where you just think, this isn't really fair racing. I mean, you know, it's just a bit suspect. But in the end, it didn't matter, because Lewis did overtake, and he was able to win the race from there. There were lots of other things going on. Well, there was some other things going down the track. I mean, off the start, we had Lando Norris trying to go round the outside of Carlos Sainz, and he thought he'd passed him before he had, and they collided, and Norris got a puncture. He did well to come back to 10th from there, I thought. So, yeah, it was just generally a really good race, and I'm really looking forward to the next few races, because the championship is still on. I mean, I know on Twitter I was saying, you know, it's effectively championship over. I would be surprised if Verstappen doesn't win this title, but it is still just about in grasp for Hamilton, and it'd be really interesting to see how the next 3 races play out, see which tracks suit which driver and which car. Certainly Saudi Arabia, from the onboards we were getting from the Formula 1 game, that they've added that. It looks like it could well be a Mercedes track, but it's difficult to know, but before we get there. And Qatar also, it does look like it could be a Mercedes track. So it's really all to play for in both championships for the rest of the season. Now, before I end, I am just going to briefly talk about the Alfa Romeo seat. Frederick Vasseur has confirmed that is going to be announced tomorrow. So he has made a decision, it's going to be announced tomorrow. We expect it will be Guan Yu Zhou. I'm expecting it to be Guan Yu Zhou, but we just don't know until it's officially confirmed tomorrow, and there will be a video dropping as soon as I can after that announcement. So keep your eye on this channel for that. Also briefly wanted to mention that there has been a story going around that Audi had bought out McLaren. I'd just like to say McLaren themselves have come out to deny that, so I wouldn't trust those rumours, I wouldn't believe those rumours, and, you know, don't believe anything unless it's come from the team themselves. So just keep an eye on that. Just, you know, don't go jumping to conclusions from a source, you know, an unnamed source. It's not always going to be true, so just be vigilant. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys very much for watching. This has been John Whittaker from Lap 1 News, and I'm out. See you next time.